Tobago, and to those of you joining us later for the rebroadcast, hello, good evening. Welcome to the first in a series of PlainTALK tests as we identify the best space and time to widen the broadcast of this show. We are going to try for a couple days to deliver PlainTALK at a drive time hour, to give the maximum amount of people the ability to access the information while on the go. And we will be broadcasting it in the 8 o'clock hour at night. When we come back, we're going to be touching on two big stories. One, in the public space, the rollback of freedoms. The government has made an announcement, and we're going to look at that announcement where COVID-19 and lockdowns are concerned. But more importantly, other things took place that is causing a bit of a public health scare, and the government is not being forthcoming about. And we're going to have to ask some questions to hopefully put it in the public space and get those who have the ability to address and answer to come straight to the public when we come back from this.
Darren's Air Conditioning Services. Professional services at affordable prices. They have air-conditioned units starting at $2,100 with installation. We supply Lennox, Pioneer, Infinity, and Comfy units, all at unbeatable prices. Servicing of a 12,000 BTU at only $150. Don't forget to check them out on Facebook and Instagram. So contact Darren's Air Conditioning Services at 749-8245.
Unique Woodworking Trinidad Limited and Unique Lumber Guyana Incorporated are premium manufacturers and exporters for high-quality wood and steel doors, bifolding sliding and pocket door systems, operable louver shutters, hardwood floors, staircases, and decks. We specialize in bank counters, office furniture, cabinetry with granite countertops, and over 500 architectural molding designs. We provide complete outfitting for hotels, resorts, hospitals, banks, tertiary institutions, condominiums, and residential projects. We also supply kiln-dried greenheart, mahogany, cedar, and teak lumber locally and regionally. Our logs are cut and shipped by Unique Lumber Guyana and properly dried in our computerized kiln at our factories facilities in Trinidad. For over 32 years, our products have been standing strong, and we are committed to providing after-sales support. Visit our showroom or check out our website at www.uniquedoors-tt.com. It's the quality that makes us unique.
And we will be taking your calls on 682-2110. All of that will form part of today's test. And while it's a test, it's still a show and it's still dealing with the issues. And today, we got rollback announced on public health measures for a period of 21 days. These measures are to take effect from 12 midnight tonight. No more in-house dining at restaurants, bars, casinos, etc. Public gatherings reduced from 10 to 5. All beaches, including those down the islands, will be closed to the public, only exception being those engaged in turtle conservation activities. Now, I want to know, No more in-house dining at restaurants, bars, casinos. Has the law been changed to prevent Faris and Voice and Inspector Alexander and others doing what they did because it was a residential property? Or this weekend, the hundreds of people who attended a wedding in St. Clair. Is that covered now by these rollback measures? Of course not. They've not changed the law. So all this is a revisit and a rehash to the same past. But if you have a property that you live, your private residential property, there's nothing that anybody could do to stop you having a wedding, a church service, a line, as long as people not paying to come in, according to the police. As long as people not paying to come in and they just invited guests to your home, you could have hundreds of invited guests. And that makes the law stupid. And to me, and I've said, this is a straight up abuse of office. This is a foolish law, and it's badly written law, because before I asked what changed between the weekend to now, nothing changed numbers wise. But I've started asking, how does COVID know the difference between a private residence with 200 people as guests and a restaurant with 20 people dining inside? How does COVID know that the people in the private residence are off limits? How? What do they do at private residences to stop COVID being contagious? And why not do that everywhere else? It's like the old joke. Why are we not building the plane out of the same material they make the black box out of, that indestructible? But as ridiculous as that sounds, the questions have to be asked. Why did the government wait until today to lock down the country after a fool and his friends in Tobago spiked COVID? The last time we heard anything from the government, the Prime Minister was bleating that Tobago was free of COVID because of the government's efforts there. And now it's not, because one fool took COVID there. The World Health Organization put out their release about the way, and I want to get out for you now. According to the World Health Organization, given the scientific position on the incubation period for COVID-19, the Parliament should have immediately instituted all testing and sanitizing protocols on learning that the Prime Minister had tested positive for the virus. Had it acted as required, the country would have been spared another divisive political tit for tat. The science is clear on the issue of pre-symptomatic transmission of infection. To quote the World Health Organization, the incubation period for COVID-19, which is the time between the exposure to the virus, becoming infected, and symptom onset, is on average 5 to 6 days. However, it can be up to 14 days. During this period, also known as the pre-symptomatic period, some infected persons can be contagious. Therefore, transmission from a pre-symptomatic case can occur before symptom onset. On this basis, it is clear that the Prime Minister was at Parliament and at other public events, including a news conference, within the 14-day period of possible transmission. His initial social media post reported him experiencing flu-like symptoms on Monday, April 5th, which prompted the test that determined he was infected with the virus. A simple count of 14 days prior to April 5th would date his possible period of transmission back to March 23rd. This is straightforward maths that simply required everyone to follow the science, which states that it is within the realm of possibility that Dr. Keith Rowley could have been infected and therefore capable of transmitting the virus anytime during that period, whether or not he was experiencing symptoms. Knowing that Dr. Rowley was physically at Parliament on March 26th, 11 days before exhibiting symptoms, which was well within the 14-day pre-symptomatic period, the Speaker and the managers at Parliament should have immediately informed all members of Parliament, staff and others who were present. Even if no one felt threatened and the premises evacuated for sanitizing before the resumption of work and parliamentary sittings. The same goes for any other group of persons exposed to him during that 14-day period. This is a separate issue from contact tracing, which is investigative and multi-layered in nature to determine the source of infection and possible spread. Tracing was particularly important before we got to the stage of community spread, when the authorities were focusing on isolating cases to prevent viral spread. A week ago, the nation discovered that Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi did not understand how COVID-19 was transmitted. Now we are finding out that the Prime Minister, his cabinet colleagues, and the Parliament also do not know. After his assurances at Saturday's news conference, we are also concerned about Dr. Avery Hines. Dr. Rowley's case underscores the fact that the link between exposure and symptom is not as straight as many, including Dr. Rowley himself, seem to think. The Opposition United National Congress was right to express concern about returning to Parliament without the required public health protocols being implemented, bearing in mind that there is an upsurge in cases and that not every infected person experiences or shows symptoms. We would hope that everyone who was in Dr. Rowley's close presence between March 23rd and April 5th has already been tested and that the Parliament already sanitized. The question remains, who infected Keith Rowley? From who did he get COVID-19? And is that person in quarantine also? And I find it surprisingly irresponsible on the part of the media that this is not an integral question being asked now. And it gets worse. How could it get worse, you ask? According to the worldnews.net, Lavantil man died from tuberculosis. An autopsy of the body of Anthony Jr. Blackman ruled that he died from tuberculosis. Blackman, 44, was found dead in the bedroom of his home at St. Barb's Road, Lavantil, on Tuesday morning by a relative who tried to wake him up to get ready for work. A bucket of blood was found in the bedroom. Police classified his death as unnatural. But the autopsy, which was done at the Mount Hope Hospital on Wednesday, showed he died from TB. The initial report from the police suggested he had died from an ulcer. TB, tuberculosis, is caused by bacteria, which affects the lungs and is spread when an infected person coughs, sneezes, or talks. According to Google, and I want to find the most easy to understand. Tuberculosis is a disease caused by a bacteria called Mycobacterium tuberculosis. The bacteria usually attack the lungs, but they can also damage other parts of the body. TB spreads through the air when a person with TB of the lungs or throat coughs, sneezes, or talks. And there's a reason I'm on this TB thing. And you had to give me World Health Organization. A total of 1.4 million people died from TB in 2019. including 208,000 people with HIV. That's the underlying aggravating cause. That's what we keep saying with COVID-19. Something else causes the death. COVID or TB just throws it over. TB is one of the top 10 causes of death and the leading cause from a single infectious agent. In 2019, an estimated 10 million people fell ill with tuberculosis worldwide, 5.6 million men, 3.2 million women, and 1.2 million children. Tuberculosis is present in all countries and age groups, but tuberculosis is curable and preventable. In 2019, 1.2 million children fell ill with TB globally. Child and adolescent TB is often overlooked by health providers and can be difficult to diagnose and treat. In 2019, the 30 high tuberculosis burden countries included for 87% of new cases. 8 countries account for 2/3 of the total, with India leading the count, followed by Indonesia, China, the Philippines, Pakistan, Nigeria, Bangladesh, and Africa. Globally, tuberculosis incidence is falling at about 2% per year. And I want to tell you this. The reason for reading that, after reading about Anthony Jr. Blackman, is this piece of information. Because I called some of my contacts in the media today to ask them, do you know where Anthony Jr. Blackman worked before his untimely death from tuberculosis? Nobody knew. Anthony Jr. Blackman was a groundsman in the parliament. And there is information coming to me that I have no way of checking. So I'm asking the Minister of Health to advise the people of Trinidad and Tobago, did Mr. Blackman or whoever else infected him infect others at the Parliament? Are there members of staff of the Parliament now warded for tuberculosis? Are we currently at 2 facilities doing tests of parliamentary staff? Have we advised all members of Parliament, both houses, of this, that they might have been exposed to tuberculosis? Have we identified the source of Mr. Blackman's infection? And what steps are we taking to prevent this becoming another issue while we're fighting COVID-19? And that's a very serious issue, because if today, and if the information that I have is correct, then the Minister of Health has to be fired for his gross irresponsibility again. But it is so much damning and indictable reasons to fire both him and the Chief Medical Officer. I don't know how else to ask this question. I asked this morning. The media gives us information straight from the Minister of Health and the CMO without telling us, without giving us the underlying factual information that we need. I'll tell you information like what. When you go on any of the reputable sites that gives you information about COVID-19 and they give you the current statistics, let's go to worldodometer.com, because that is the biggest site now for coronavirus information globally. There are currently 24,247,627 infected patients worldwide. Of that number, 24,141,229, or 99.6% are mild. What that means is you're not even expected to get a fever. They're mild. You have it, but your body's going to kill it. 106,398 are serious or critical, requiring hospitalization. Now, if you require hospitalization in any of the developed countries, it means that you cannot breathe on your own. That is where COVID could overtake you and kill you. If you can't breathe on your own, that's where you're going to lose the battle, and you're going to drown, and you're going to die from pneumonia-like symptoms. We know all of this now. There's nothing new under the sun about COVID-19, regardless of how overexcited the global media tries to make this thing. The medical fraternity is on top of COVID-19. The need for some countries to broadcast mutations and other such foolishness is because governments in some countries get accustomed to special powers, extra constitutional powers, powers that frighten the courts. Our courts here refused to lift the ban imposed by the Minister of National Security outside the remit of the authority of his office to keep citizens of this country away from their homes. And they cited fears of a pandemic that is no longer the murderous pandemic it was a year ago. We understand it now. We are curing it now. A 104-year-old woman got it twice and recovered both times. And she has serious underlying conditions. And that is why I said, when Keith Rowley tested positive, that when he walks out, fully cured, even though he has a congenitally bad heart and a ragged and beaten body, at 71, he is no longer in an at-risk group. And his day-to-day handling of COVID-19 is proving my point, that you don't have to succumb to this disease. In Trinidad and Tobago, you run a special risk, because like any other third and fourth world country with backward and failed public health, you could succumb to measles and die. You could die in childbirth, and a lot of women do in this country. In Trinidad and Tobago, people die, and a doctor who told us this in detail was removed from the country. Trinidadians die from too many curable and preventable deaths, and we've not yet commissioned an inquiry based on the evidence that was put into the public space by that doctor, even though we know that we are higher than World Health Organization numbers and demographics for countries of our profile. So something is terribly, terribly wrong here. And our Minister of Health gets to come on TV and cite numbers. He, Avery Hines, and Parasram are now dictating the country's response to what is no longer a killer flu. COVID-19, we've beaten it. Now it is just for it to work its way through the global population. As much as they don't want to hear this, it didn't come from Mars, it's not going back to Mars. COVID-19, like any disease and bacteria and virus that found us, because they've been finding us since we've been Neanderthals. We've encountered and spread among ourselves as humans, as we grew from 1 to 100 to 10,000 to 7 billion people, from time to time, like 1918, the Spanish flu, that killed 50 million people. At some point, went its own way. We didn't cure it, didn't get a vaccine for it, it just stopped. There's something called herd immunity, and herd immunity works. And in things that herd immunity doesn't work for, fine, you get a vaccine for that. But ultimately, in this situation, we do not have, the graph shows, the statistic shows that there is a marked fall off of people dying from COVID-19. And the only people who are dying, 99% of them are obese. That is the greatest comorbidity and underlying aggravating factor that could lead to death from COVID-19 is obesity. After that, weakened immune systems from diabetes and cancer and heart disease and other ailments that are already tiring your broken system. But even those need not be a death sentence. In countries where if you spend $5,000 per year per person on public health, you actually spend the money there and it doesn't go into the pockets of fat cats, financiers, friends and family of the government. And that's been our truth. Just walk through General Hospital. Walk through Mount Hope. Go to San Fernando General Hospital and puke at what passes for public health in this country. Woe beyond to you if you are one of the mass of poor people in Trinidad and Tobago who, if you get sick and it is debilitating or it throws you into crisis, you end up in one of those hospitals casualty department because you could die waiting to see a doctor. And that's the conversation we need to have. Because COVID-19 should have exposed that we have no real system of public health in this country. COVID-19 should have exposed that Trinidad and Tobago knew enough about that virus that we proclaimed a public health emergency on January 31st, 2020, and then went ahead and had carnival, and then locked the country down after. Like we did for friends of the government, we allowed them to have a 200-person wedding in St. Clair, and then roll back public freedoms. For you to have your 200-person wedding, the rest of the people can't go to the beach. And that is the nonsense. For Rowley to romp for Easter, the rest of the people can't sit down and eat their burger or their roti in a restaurant in peace. But none of the people who have COVID has been traced back to a beach or to a restaurant or to a bar. And you're not telling us where they've been traced back to. So you're locking everybody down and shutting everybody down. You're abusing the powers of your office and scaring the courts into upholding your nonsense. And that is wrong. That is not democracy. That flies in the face of a country ruled by proper law. And we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, have to reject that. This lockdown announced today is unacceptable. Terence Dialsing, Roshan Parasha, Avery Hines, give the country the facts of the people that you are listing as hospitalized. If Rowley is one of the people hospitalized and he is well and fit enough to be hosting conferences and cabinet meetings, he is not on a ventilator, he is not on a respirator, he is not fighting for his life. He is a mild case of COVID-19. And that's what he is. And of the other 100 and how much ever you say, 14 people hospitalized, what are their underlying conditions? What is their day-to-day condition now? Because if they are not also requiring external assistance to breathe, they are all mild cases. And you're lying to the public. And the one person that died last week, you should have said to the public, someone died age so-and-so with so-and-so underlying comorbidities. You don't have to give their name. Protect patient confidentiality. It is the data we need so that we still clear. Tell us, the 35 people quarantined in Tobago, where they got that from? Because the week before, Keith Rowley was boasting, Tobago have none. Did Keith Rowley take COVID to Tobago? That's the conversation you have to have. Put the people back in the driver's seat. Terence Dialsing, you are an employee of the public. You are a public servant. I am going to say this till it hammers home in the heads of every citizen of this republic. Terence Dial Singh, your salary is paid by that little woman in Chaguanas outside the bus depot selling bus tickets, dinner mint, and loose cigarettes. She's contributing to your salary. And you have an obligation to come straight with her and to tell her, no ma'am, you are not at risk. These fools that did this. You see, when Rowley said all it would take is one fool, and somebody said Faris took that as an instruction, it was a joke, but it was the truth. Because Faris Al-Rawi, as Attorney General, knew the law well enough to break the law. And that is grounds for firing him. Because while he knows, like the Commissioner of Police knows, and the Prime Minister of the Republic knows, and the Health Minister knows, that they've not declared a state of emergency, they've proclaimed a public health crisis. But it does not interfere with the rules that operate in private property. That doesn't mean if you really were serious about COVID-19, and it was as serious as you were making it out to be, that Faris and Inspector Alexander and Johnny Bravo and Voice and the rest of the people who were there, maskless, rubbing up on each other, was somehow safe by pretending that a residential property is above the law. You did not free the 201 percenters in St. Clair. COVID-19 could have ravaged their entire community. We could have run out of Syrians in the country because of a stupid belief that you could somehow be safe and insulated from COVID-19 because you're in private property. But if it didn't ravage them, and if all of our Syrians are safe and healthy today, then that means the overcorrection and the overreaction is nonsense. That wherever Keith Rowley went to get his infection, deal with that. Wherever those people got theirs, deal with it there. Lock that down. Don't lock everybody else down. That is an abuse of office. And you don't have that authority. And we need judges in Trinidad and Tobago to wake up to that truth and that reality. And to tell the government that they are abusing their office and that they are bordering on deceit with the public. The Minister of Health has an obligation, now that the entire country is aware of how COVID-19 works, to tell us with each case where that person contracted COVID-19, what area they're from, their age, their comorbidities, their underlying and aggravating conditions, so we would have an idea of what's going on in our own country. To do otherwise is to use COVID-19 conveniently to create scare tactics to prevent 50 and 100,000 people from walking into Port of Spain, which is what the people want to do. The people want to walk into Port of Spain and express their complete disgust and dissatisfaction with what's passing for governance in that parliament. And using COVID-19 to prevent that is dishonest. And we're asking you to do better than that. Because you can't continue to gimmick, stunt, and lie COVID-19. You can't do that. And you can't say that your AstraZeneca vaccine that the rest of the world is throwing away but we embrace with open arms did not paralyze this man, did not create those blood clots. You have no tools and no abilities to give a proper investigation as to how the Prime Minister, who is the most easily contact traced person in the country, whose every step has to be prepared by special branch. He could do anything else he wants. Even if he's stepping out on his wife, special branch have to go and inspect who he's stepping out with. Because if they don't, his life would be at risk. And that's their job by law. He stops being a private individual when he became the Prime Minister. Special branch would be able to tell you every single interaction the Prime Minister had for the 14 days. And that's what you contact trace. But we're playing the fool, we're stunting, and we're gimmicking COVID-19 to terrorize old people and make them feel the sky falling. When we come back, We're going to hold up the sky and expose all of these lies.
Darren's Air Conditioning Services. Professional services at affordable prices. They have air-conditioned units starting at $2,100 with installation. We supply Lennox, Pioneer, Infinity, and Comfy units, all at unbeatable prices. Servicing of a 12,000 BTU at only $150. Don't forget to check them out on Facebook and Instagram. So contact Darren's Air Conditioning Services at 749-8245.
Welcome to Movers in Trinidad Limited, Trinidad's #1 company for professional relocation and transport services. We operate 24/7, anywhere nationwide. Don't lift a finger, or Movers will ensure your move is smooth and hassle-free. Customer satisfaction is our #1 priority. Items are properly packaged and well secured during transit. Call or WhatsApp 790-MOVE to book. That's 790-6683. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Movers in Trinidad.
(682-2110). That's the number to call in. We're taking calls now. If you are calling in, or you could WhatsApp the same number, depending on how much calls we get in. I could read the WhatsApps. I can't guarantee that. 682-2110. Make sure if you are hearing this part of the show, if it's a rebroadcast, don't dial the phone, because the live would be gone. 682-2110 is the number to call if you would like to make a contribution. I am asking you, from the moment you call, say where you are calling from in Trinidad, Tobago, or the world, wherever you are. Just say calling from Jamaica, calling from Indonesia, calling from Sawa. We're going to want you to keep your contribution under 3 minutes so that other people can call and get in. And finally, when you do call, listen to me on the phone and not on your device, because there is an automatic Facebook delay. Darren's Air Conditioning. We would like to thank Darren's Air Conditioning for the work they do at our studio. Their numbers are 749-8245 and 354-2958. Darren's Air Conditioning, they really know what they're doing. They're fantastic prices. Unique woodworking. You need to experience the professionalism of Harvey Sori and the rest of his crew. They are capable of just about anything you could design. Unique Woodworking, 674-4091. Any of the advertisers that we name or call right now, if you are a Citizens Union card holder and you let them know that at the start of the conversation, their prices will reflect and they will give you discounts. Build a Basket, 769-4590. You have any events coming up, any special days, birthdays, weddings, anniversaries, you just need to say sorry or I love you, call Build a Basket and they'll build a basket just for you. 769-4590. SCA and CXC tuition classes, one of the best right now in the country. 771-3477-767-7717. Hello, good afternoon, you're live.
Good afternoon, Phillip. I'm calling from Diego Martin.
Nice to have you.
Thank you. Phillip, I agree with everything that you have just said. We have taken this COVID-19 pandemic too far. There are a lot of countries, European countries, that have their open borders and that their people are walking around as normal. Right? It is unfortunate, as you said, that the courts are not prepared to take a stand for the democracy of the people of this country.
But I think the problem with that is the people that the courts look to for advice are the people that are leading us and the courts astray. And the big question everybody in Trinidad is supposed to be asking the Minister of Health is, what has changed? What has changed to prompt something as drastic as such a heavy lockdown? This is an abuse of office.
Correct. Not only that, I mean, why are you going after the restaurants and the bars again? And the beaches? Why? It really makes you wonder what is really going on in Trinidad and Tobago.
What is the underlying condition in our mismanaged country? And I agree with you 100% because those are questions people need to start asking now. We did not elect these people to office to abuse our businesses, destroy our economy, and drive us into poverty.
That's right. That's right. And also this thing with the vaccine that is causing the blood clot. You know, I was listening to a conversation on the radio today where people were saying, oh, people shouldn't be saying that he got the blood clots and so on from the vaccine. But you have data out there from European countries again who have stopped the use of the vaccine because it's causing blood clots with their citizens.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like people wake up, do your research, you know, ask the questions. But I think people are generally scared to open their mouth.
But why would that be, though? I mean, we have
because
mouth
of
for
their
everything.
jobs. Remember, a lot of people work in the public sector, right? For the government. How can you start bad talking the government or making statements about the government and then go to work the next day because you're going to be told, well, I'm sorry, you don't have a job.
But the government doesn't have money to pay your salary, you know. It's the taxpayers that pay your salary. The government can't.
Agreed.
The government can't. Again, that is abuse of public office. All we need is one case where a public official is fired for misbehavior in public office to set a precedent and all of this nonsense. But Trinidadians need to stop being so lazy with their democracy.
Agreed. We need a whistleblower, like how Governor Cuomo had a whistleblower within his own staff who came up with the real numbers and the real cause.
Indeed.
That is what we need in this country.
Indeed.
People who will stand up and say something, especially in the Ministry of Health. But again, people are afraid for their jobs.
Thanks a lot for that contribution. Much appreciated.
Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye.
682-2110. Flood secure barriers. Rainy season coming. If you are in flood prone areas, what flood secure barriers do is it gives you an opportunity if heavy rains, if you are told that there are heavy rains that could lead to floods, and you know that the rivers are rising and they could break their banks, you get notice. Generally, we have our heads up. We know when the ground is soaking and the sky is still black and rain still falling, bucket a drop. We know it's time to go out and get the sandbags and to channel the water. We know flood secure barriers gives you the opportunity to close off your house to a height that, well, I mean, if the water rises above that, nothing could help you. Fishy Pets, Trini Pet Store, Movie Town. Flood secure barriers, sorry, their number is 796-8172. And Fishy Pets, Trini Pet Store, Movie Town. Their number is 293-2533. I want to tell you something. That pet store is where I buy all my... We have a 6-foot aquarium. And we have kois and tetras and 3 sharks. We have 1 miniature shark and 2 sharks. And we have goldfish. And they supply us with everything. And the great thing about Cavi at Fishy Pets, Trini Pet Store, that's a long name, boy, Cavi, Movie Town, is that they come to your house, you know. They set up your water tank, the aquariums for you. They show you everything you need. The price is ridiculously low. And I want to give this man a real applause for his customer service. It's second to none. And they really follow up and follow through on everything that they sell. Southbridge Electrical, they are the people responsible for the bright studio lights. They're located on the Solomon Ochoa Highway. The number is 235-6382. Fishy Pets, Trini Pet Store in Movitown is offering 10% store-wide, except dog food, for Citizens Union card members. If you have a Citizens Union, but you must present the card. They're offering 10% store-wide, which is fantastic. That's really good savings. So walk with your card. Trissa Hydrofoam, those are the people that I told you that do these salad bags, and they prepare a bag of greens of everything that you could need and deliver it to your home. Is $100 a bag, and it's like a garbage bag size full of greens. Their number is 6825909. Not a single person who has started doing business with Trissa Hydrofarm are in any way regretting it. You set your schedule and they come and they drop that greens for you. When I get it, I share with everybody as look for people because we can't use all the greens that we get. Trissa Hydrofarm, 6825909. And the Citizens Union, we just signed up with the Care Clinic and Medical Center. Their number is 628-2225. The Care Clinic and Medical Center, cardiology, chiropractic care, dental, diagnostic services, medicals, pediatrics, orthopedics, general family medicine, outpatient procedures, in-home tests, supplements, specialist consultations. All of that, Citizens Union members with a Citizens Union card will be getting special discounts on all services. If you have a company or a product or service that you would like advertised on PlainTALK for Citizens Union members and are prepared to give Citizens Union members special deals, because we have thousands of members with cards and money looking to spend, let them come and spend that money by you. Give them a good deal. Call Felicia Holder at 769-4590. Her team will put together the advertising package between her and Satish, and you'll get handled properly across the spectrum of ways and means that you can advertise with us. Today we dealt with the issue and the concern of tuberculosis now in the country needs to be addressed. Here it is. Concerning your video, where is the truth, Terrence? My brother and sister-in-law tested positive. They are self-quarantined almost 20 days, took no meds, and 95% recovered. My mom and dad in the same house tested negative. They did their test on the 7th April. Me and my wife did our test 6th April, Siparia Health Center. We were told the results will take 3 to 5 days. They gave us 20 days quarantine also. Till today, our results are still pending. We reached the health care center about 9:15 a.m. We were the only two that went for a COVID test, yet we still had to wait 4+ hours, although no one was in front of us. My brother's niece and nephew got it, 2 boys and 1 girl, age average 4, 5, and 7. They had slight fever and body pains, that is all. Everything is exaggerated as far as I'm concerned. And I agree with you. If 99.6% of those who have COVID, forget those who not tested, because you see, and a comedian made a joke, this is a virus that is so bad you have to get a test to know you have it. But if you are one of those that are known to have it, and 99.6% of them are mild, my brother, who's an epidemiologist and is practicing on the world stage, who's an advisor to the United States White House, he said to me, of those that we know that have it, there are thousands more that we will never know, because it is so mild, it passed through their system and they never know. Now you live in a world where measles, mumps, chickenpox, smallpox, those things killed for a while till we broke them. But COVID-19 cannot continue to be a noose around the people's necks in this country. The government cannot continue to use COVID as a heavy lash on the people's backs. I do not agree with this lockdown today. I think that it is overreach, overreaction, it is overcorrection, it's abuse. And what's being done to the owners of those restaurants, they have mortgages and rents to pay. Look at what's going on in our schools. 99.99999999999% of children could never get COVID-19. Their bodies will just destroy it. of the 0.0000000000001% that could, they will have an underlying condition. And that's the truth. Yet we've shut our schools down, and we keep our schools shut. All of the private schools have had to let go their staff. What are they to do? How are they to feed their families? How are they to pay their rents in a country where nobody knows anybody who ever got any help for COVID-19? Perhaps you need a PNM Balize card to get it. I don't know. But nobody I have ever encountered. I have 100,000 followers on Facebook. That's not counting the hundreds of thousands others who find me and comment because my page is open to the world. But I have 100,000 active followers. Not a single person has said to me that they've received $1 of assistance from the government. What people said was, the Minister of Finance lied to the country when he said that the banks was going to work with the government to make COVID easier for people to bear. What they did was deferred people loans and credit card payments, applied interest to that. So the banks just got a next bite of the cherry. You still have the interest, you still have the principal to pay, and now you have double interest to pay, and that was ridiculous. Put a lot of people in hot water financially, especially when the government is mismanaging the management of the economy where COVID-19 is concerned. So we're hitting a double whammy. What is people supposed to do? Cost of living skyrocketing in Trinidad and Tobago. Every single day, prices going up. There's no competition. We're isolating all of the country into the hands of a select few who just so happens to be friends of the government, financiers. That's unfair. We're pushing the people of this country into territory where what are they supposed to do? Lie down on the ground and surrender? Or stand up for themselves? What does the government think its job is? To destroy the people? That's what you're doing. And it is poetic justice that Keith Rowley got COVID-19. And I hope when he walks out of there, that poetic justice is shared with everybody else when he realizes the absolute nonsense of the overreaction and the overcorrection. Open back the economy. Let people go back out to work. The mask nonsense delaying the inevitable. If we did, and I spoke to a doctor this morning, a senior doctor, and I spoke to him and I said, if we used antibody testing to test for COVID-19, what would we find? He said the vast majority of people have already experienced some level of COVID-19 or coronavirus and work through their system. And we need to get to a place where it works through the whole community so that people develop herd immunity, so that we stop having to worry about if Jim have it, if he go hand it to Mary, because both Jim and Mary are immune to it. 99.6%. 99.6% of the people who are listed as positive. This doesn't include the others who are positive and don't know. 99.6% of the people who are listed as positive are mild. They shouldn't have a problem. The remaining 0.4% of that number, 99%, that listed as critical, 99% will survive. These are stupid numbers to be destroying an economy over. We have to realize that we are not at the place we were in March 2020 where we didn't understand the profile of this disease. We understand it now. We know how it works. We know how to break it. We know how to treat with it. We know how to manage it. So why are we overreacting to it? Why are we causing more suicides and mental illness and destruction of property? Why are we causing that by our obscene overhandedness by government? This is a ridiculous power play. The people of Trinidad and Tobago, and it is the triple whammy is our opposition couldn't be more neutered, couldn't be more weak, couldn't be more missing in action. I mean, they've been missing in action when they were inside the blasted parliament. Now they're gone. No, now we have none. Because in their stand, there's nobody to stand up to the government. So what are the people to do? What is to become of Trinidad and Tobago now? that an incompetent, uncaring government led by buffoons and fools are making a mess and a mockery of Trinidad and Tobago. Not one media house is pressing the Minister of Health for the source of Keith Rowley's infection. Not one media house is asking about Anthony Jr. Blackburn, who died of tuberculosis. Asking, did he infect anybody else? Are you testing anybody else? Is he ground zero? Was he infected by somebody else, and who? And has that person been identified? None of that information. We flying blind. You turn on the news and get nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Our media here is ridiculous. They've abdicated the role of journalists. Social media is the only thing that keeps Trinidad informed. What are we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, supposed to do now with all of that? 100,000 pairs of feet walking to the parliament to hand them a petition, to tell them our women have been brutalized, raped, kidnapped, tortured, human trafficked, and murdered for too long. And we're not accepting that anymore. And we need to show them 100,000 peaceful people. And the government's afraid of that. All of this fake COVID spiking and all of this overreacting is because of that. Because they're afraid of you. They want to do you what they want. But if you stand together and light a candle together and sing Kumbaya together, they panic. You send the Attorney General into a tizzy. 1 minute he cussing you. Candlelight vigil is foolishness. You're crying crocodile tears. Next minute he outside lighting candle and crying with you. You don't know what to do. They don't know what's the next play. They don't know how to move forward. You have all the cards. So they've spiked and locked us down 21 days illegally. The Constitution does not give them that authority, and yet they're doing it. What are we to do now? Trinidad and Tobago, the people of this country, join the Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago. The more members we have, is the greater the chance of us mounting proper lawsuits that don't end in Trinidad and Tobago. There is a Privy Council, and we need to get it there. Those things cost money, a lot of money, but there's strength in numbers. 10,000 people joining today would give us the funds to fight in court, to hire the best, to take the government before the court. The court has an obligation, a responsibility to adjudicate dispassionately. We have to get it to there. We need you to help us. The greater the number of people that join with us, is the louder our voices are. The Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago, citizensuniontt.org, citizensuniontt.com. Our numbers are 486-CUT, 486-CUTT, or 471-CUT-CUTT. That is 486-2888 and 471-2888. To all of our overseas supporters and sponsors and financiers and helpers, to all the overseas-based Trinis, the foreign-based Trinbagonians who have been the lifeblood of every movement we've been a part of, I say a special thank you today for all that you've done and all that you continue to do. It is because of you and the work that you've done and the members and the Citizens Union members, we were able to stand up and host a candlelight movement and be able to underwrite it. That's why it was done so easily. That's why it was done so quickly and seamlessly. We didn't have to call for nothing. We just did it because we had the backing of the Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago and its members. And I thank you all very, very much. And if you are not yet a member of the Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago, while you are watching this, go to citizensuniontt.com or citizensuniontt.org and sign up right now. We need your assistance, we need your help, and we need to work together to rescue this country. It is not enough to just talk. And that's why I made that walk from Arima, and it brutalized me. I'm 54. I didn't expect that Saturday morning after the walk I'd be useless to myself and I wouldn't be able to walk again. But that walk, 32,000 steps, my iPhone tells me that I'd walk 3,000 steps a week, every week, and that I walked 32,000 steps in one day, 7.5 hours. And if it wasn't for people like Dion Andrews on that bicycle and Jennifer Mohammed who showed up late, who just were working to keep me standing upright, helping me, massaging and keeping my feet on the ground because I was in literal pain. But the team around me and all of the calls for support, all the support that we got, and all of those people that reached out to say that they were so proud of what we were doing, it helped get us into Port of Spain. I want to tell you something. That was one man walking. We had nearly 1 million views on those videos. Imagine when it is 50,000 of us. Imagine when it is 100,000 camera phones recording our every step. Imagine when it is all of us, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, all of us, every creed, every race, every class, every social divider, every gender, every type of person, tall, short, fat, slim, old, young, everybody. If you confine to your bed, put wheels on your bed, let somebody push it. It's time for us to say with beyond the shadow of a doubt that this can't continue, dividing the country by race and then beating us for it, not helping nobody. We've lost $3 trillion to date. How much more are we going to lose? Right now, you live in a country where one half of the country pays taxes to mind the other half. That's politics. The Minister of Health, a pharmacist, he don't know anything about health, could make pronouncements to the country and we have no choice but to follow it. That's unacceptable. We need people in this country, professionals with ethics, to challenge them at every step. We need lawyers. I shouldn't be trying to raise 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 to take this matter into a court. There should be public-spirited attorneys in this country, senior men and women with heart for the country and compassion for others, who should have been beaten apart up that steps. Now, right now in the Hall of Justice, judges should be hearing cases why the Minister of Health is wrong, but we're not. Trinidad has been a country that isolated itself from the world. Look where we are. We ended up in arguments with India and Barbados over vaccines. End up making deals with private sector friends and the government. This one getting US foreign exchange, that one getting tax write-off. We end up with the worst vaccine in the world that caused more stress than it could cure. How is any of this acceptable? If you're ever going to listen to PlainTALK, if you're ever going to listen to my voice, I'm going to tell you something here. I have a fantastic sense of humor. I have a library and a litany of jokes, and I'd like to be here telling you all. I'd like to be making you laugh and smile. But the truth is, you have nothing funny about living in Trinidad and Tobago right now. We are a danger to ourselves because of the mismanagement and the corruption and the incompetence of the government and high public office holders. And we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, we get one opportunity. By this crazy system that we have set up, we get one opportunity to choose between fools, which is the lesser evil. That's the nonsense we get to vote for every election. It's time to put a spoke in our wheel. It's time to set a cat among the pigeons. It's time to put our voices back in the democracy. It's time the owners of Trinidad and Tobago spoke up. 100,000 people. We have 100,000. We have more than 100,000 signatures. We want 100,000, and that's why we asked for physical signatures. So we know how much of us are incensed at what takes place. Let all of us come out in the street. Come out. Stand up. It's time to light candles again. And if we can't gather to light candles and vigils, let's light candles all up and down the pavements of our streets again, every night. Candles cheap, matches cheaper. Make your own candles if you have to. And light candles up and down every street and avenue in this country for every single woman that's gone missing, for every child that had to go to bed at night crying for mommy lost. And as I'm saying that, I want to say a special thank you to the donors who have been helping us. We got one of the top trauma psychologists, counselors in the country, Jody Gonzalez, to take the case of this young man, Veer, whose father murdered his mother. Veer went to school one day, 7 years old, with his world intact. Came home to her father in jail and her mother dead. And we've been working with the grandparents to get all of them the support that they need to survive 1 year later and to go forward. We need this little boy Veer to survive this. That can't be easy. You think back to when you were 7 years old and your whole world was divided between mommy and daddy, and you think if you came home one day from school and mommy was dead and daddy was in jail, where you would be. And that's where that little boy is now. 2 people stepped up and said that they would assist with the costs, and it's not cheap, but the right professionals. And Jodie's the best. She deals with trauma, and that's what this is, trauma. So we're going to put them in touch with Jodie and anybody else who want to help with that case, because it's going to be a lot of counseling. You could reach out to Felicia. She'll put you in touch with Jodie. Going forward from here, and it is important to say again, if we don't stand together, we will sink alone. It is time for us, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, to push past the political nonsense that has been sold to us and join together as one people. Out of that, we will find the best, right, perfect, proper political expression to lead us into our best years. We've never had that. We've had abuse. We've had misbehavior. We've had looting. Every single government we have ever had since independence has collapsed under the worst allegations of corruption and mismanagement, from Eric Williams to now. Trinidad and Tobago has to do better. For the 1.4 million decent souls, red, white, black, green, and every shade in between. Special good evening to my Muslim brothers and sisters for Ramadan, and right on the heels of our Christian brothers and sisters celebrating Easter. Here, every creed and race find an equal place. How about we join together and make that real? How about we join together and make that true? Some of us have been laboring to prove a point for years. I think it's time the rest of us came on board to say, all right, we understand what you're trying to say, let's fix it. Today was a test of the drive time broadcast and the rebroadcast tonight. Satish and his team, Joseph Rich Paul and others, they will compile numbers, look at data, see what works best for you based on your feedback, and you can message Satish Ramsaran directly and tell him what you think, or you could say it on the thread of this video. Do you like this time for our broadcast, or would you prefer this show as a weekly 2-hour show or a nightly show for an hour? Satish will put his number on the ticker tape if you want to WhatsApp or message him, because he just loves people. He's not a private guy at all. He wants you to call him on the phone. Yeah? So I don't have much more to add to what we're saying today, other than, please, the Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago is this country's last best hope. We are literally creating a platform for all of us to come together to make the decisions. There are people among our ranks that are capable of just about any dispensation. So if we want to decide out of this what is the best way forward for us collectively, we can find that among ourselves. This is not a political party, and it is a movement of people. Everyday Trinbagonian people. Join with us, join us. citizensuniontt.org, citizensuniontt.com, 486-2888, 471-2888 are the ways and means to access. And I will definitely be seeing you tomorrow. People have been asking for a follow-up on the Solid Waste show that we did. We promised a part 2, and that might be happening tomorrow night. I'm waiting on confirmation. We also have one more special guest who has some information from the public health system, and I am waiting for a confirmation. I can't announce, but the timing for tomorrow's show, I can't tell you that now, as we're going to be doing these tests and find the right timing to do this. So until tomorrow, I am Philip Edward Alexander. This has been Plain Talk. Stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.